leadershipisation, all things leadership. Off to a little bit of a late start today because I decided I would check to see what happened when I used the countdown button. And interestingly, the countdown button worked beautifully, I think. However, I was totally unable to figure out how to get myself back onto your screen again. So it was countdown on, and then I had no idea how to get it off. But never mind. Welcome to Leadershipisation, all things leadership. My name is Beth Bergen. I'm an internationally awarded leadership and communication coach, and I work with both individuals and teams on all of that leadership and communication, all of those things that I believe contribute to develop what I call leadership intelligence. Now, I'm here each Tuesday at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I've got a focus today, and that focus is new leaders and those of us who might already have been leaders, but we're going into a new role. We're going into a different situation with a new team. Now, what can happen? What can happen when we're uncertain as human beings is that we default to a situation where we take control. And our uncertainty becomes that control, which shows up as an overuse of a lot of the strengths that we have around organizing ourselves, getting stuff done, delegating and managing to our team of people. What happens is that we can lean in because we're new to leadership, or we're new in this organization or to this particular role. And when we lean in, we can lean in a little bit too far sometimes. We can lean in um, so far, in fact, that it can be really hard to get back out again. So today, our topic is about control versus trust, micromanaging versus empowering. So let's have a look what happens when we are a micromanager or when we lean in too far. We oversee all the time really small and simple kind of tasks. We're looking over our team's shoulder all the time. We're giving them step by step, detailed instructions on how we want everything done. What happens is that they start to feel untrusted and they start to feel undervalued. And that flows on to sort of really hamper creative thinking, to minimize problem solving. And we've discovered recently that this is even worse. This is even worse when your teams are remote. Like over the whole pandemic, when we had the world's largest automatic working from home experiment, one of the things that we discovered is that, well, felt okay when they were here and I could at least see them and they looked like they were busy. But when they're there and I can't see them, I'm really worried about it. When they're at a distance and I can't connect with them, it really worries me. So, why do we do this? Why is it that when we're new to leadership or new in a new role in leadership, that our brain might choose to default to this place? Well, comes down to one key word, and that word is fear. Now, very often it's that we have a fear of losing control. That's the first one. Have a fear of losing control, so we tighten. Yeah, we tighten it up. Maybe we have a lack of trust in our team. They're new. Maybe if it's your new team, maybe you've heard things about this team. Maybe people have said they're really difficult to manage. Maybe we've got a lack of trust in our own self, in our own abilities. Maybe we're feeling insecure about the fact that we've been promoted. And what's happening here is that it's actually a lack of trust in ourselves rather than a lack of trust in our team. Maybe we've got a lack of confidence in our own ability to work our way through all the tasks that need to be done. Maybe we're afraid that the team isn't going to achieve the goals or do the tasks that are required within the set time frame, so that as their leader we can actually put our hand up and take some of the credit for it. Maybe because we're new in the role, we're under pressure. We feel like we're under a lot of pressure to prove ourselves. It could be some or all of those things. Maybe how it's showing up. Let's have a think about how it's showing up. Maybe it's showing up when you ask people all the time, keep me in the loop, keep me in the loop. I'd like more details, please. Maybe it's there when you're pushing and demanding, hey, I need it done now. Maybe it's here when you're asking for all those micro details that you and your role as the leader don't actually need to know. Maybe it's there with you taking control of whatever those outcomes are and making sure that everything happens at exactly the right time. Maybe it's you taking credit for people's work. Maybe it's you overlooking the anxiety that you can actually see that people in your team are experiencing. And it probably also shows up with their lack of autonomy. And so, what happens after a period of time is that people won't make a decision because they're not sure that you're going to like it because you're the micromanager. Now, I just want to remind you here that more people leave their jobs because of their direct managers than for any other reason. Often they're quite happy with all the other aspects of their job. They don't like the way that they're being led or managed. So micromanagement isn't going to help any of that, is it? Just think about that for a bit. So I can hear you saying, well, there's got to be some benefits. Like sometimes you need to be driving for a team to get things done. And I hear you. Yep, there are. There definitely are. The short term benefits are more likely to be project based, though. If you've got a specific project that needs to be completed in a specific time, and in order to get that done, you're going to need to be really clear about we're doing this, and then we're doing this, and these are the timelines. And you're really driving to have someone achieve those timelines so that the team together can step across the line. Yeah, maybe there is a short term benefit in that micromanaging. Project managers can be really awesome people at micromanaging because their skill set is to identify every single key aspect and every single task that sits under that. Project management is very different from micromanaging. Some project managers can be a bit over the top and micromanage as well. Just be aware of that. The thing I want you to recognize is that micromanaging is actually bad for you and bad for the team in the long term. So, how's it bad for the team? Well, it's bad for the team because they start to lose their confidence. They start to feel undervalued. They start to second guess themselves. They lose that autonomy. And it's so vital in a role. They lose a feeling of worthiness, and we don't want our team to lose that. How's it bad for you though? Well, if what you're doing is investing an incredible amount of your time and energy in micromanaging your team, there's a whole lot of other stuff out here that quite possibly you're not paying enough attention to. It may be that you've got yourself a really good reputation for getting things done because you're over the shoulder of your team and micromanaging them the whole time. However, and this is well worth you thinking about it, however, if you were promoted or if you changed to a different job, you may well be working with a team that is very used to being autonomous. And so suddenly there's a tension there. There's a whole lot of difficult conversations that need to be had. There's a whole lot of self reflection on your part, but perhaps you're not able to perform the way that you were performing previously because your success was all about the fact that the team were being driven by you. So it's bad for both of you in that long term. So the next obvious question is, well, okay, Beth, how do we move then from control to trust? How do we move from taking that control to actually trusting? As a leader, you're like a guide. You're guiding people through the process. You're providing a framework for them to operate into. So the first thing is lean back. Like as difficult as it might be, lean back. Many of these same things I'm going to talk to you about now are relevant when you're raising your children and allowing them to have some independence. Yeah, it's always a bit of a scary time. First time they ride their push bike off to the local store, you're panicking. Sometimes it's about leaning back and trusting them. So, another thing for you to do is to delegate, to start to delegate based on what those skills are, so that what you're actually able to do is you're able to take the tasks away from you to monitor and oversee, and you can give them to other people. You can give them to other people. And this way, what you're doing is actually building a skilled team. You're building a team where actively, you're actively building the skills because people are getting an opportunity to do things. It's important. It's important when you're shifting from control to trusting that you set really clear expectations. Here are the expectations of this task, not step by step detailed instructions. That's the micromanager, that's the controller. So in here, it's clear expectations followed by clear goals, and then leaning back, because we're still leaning back to allow your team to figure it out, to allow your team to figure it out themselves. When you're empowering, it's all about giving people autonomy and it's all about giving them the space. Your job is to provide the support and the resources that they need and lean back, because you really want to create a work culture or an environment where it's perfectly okay to ask questions or to ask someone's opinion, but it's also perfectly okay to make a mistake, to fail without necessarily being called a failure. Because there are so many lessons in the mistakes that we make. There are so many lessons in the failures that we might have. So that's really important. The other thing is if we turn, the mirror around and have a look at you, it's an opportunity for you, once you've reflected on yourself, once you've seen, really, I am micromanaging these people and I can see that I'm diminishing this team instead of building it up. And I'm doing it out of my own fears. This is where it's useful for you to build up your own self leadership skills and your own team leadership skills by utilizing a coach or a mentor in your own workspace. Often it's a good idea to have both because they should both play different roles for you. Seek some feedback, ask others. What are you noticing that I'm doing? What are you noticing? that I'm doing? How am I leading my team? Why am I in this situation where I can see they're anxious and all of that is rubbing off on me? I don't like it. So ask for that feedback. Use that feedback when you're talking to mentors or coaches. Coaching really is an awesome investment for you because it's someone from the outside who doesn't have all of the information, who can question you and who can examine things from a different perspective without a whole lot of unconscious biases that may be in place in your workplace. The final thing that I would say to you about shifting from controlling to trust or micromanaging to empowering is this. If you haven't got a pen out by now and you haven't written something down, this is the ideal thing for you to write down to take away. This is what it is. Oh, excuse me. You're the leader. Lead, 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 not do. So it's not doing stuff all the time. It's leading and allowing your team and empowering your team to be the best version that they can be by setting clear expectations and clear goals, giving them the resources and the support that they need to do their job, to be empowered, to have autonomy so that you can do the things that you're required to do in your role. Okay, that's it for today. Now, if you've watched this, hashtag replay. If you've got questions or you've got comments, please pop them underneath. Very happy to hear them. And I look forward to seeing you, same place, same time next